same time is not changing, the r is not changing, phi is not changing. So, the angular separation is you have dt square. So, you have flat universe let us say. So, you have dt square minus s square t, then you have dr square plus r square d theta square plus r square sin square theta d phi square. So, the angular change here for same time, for same co-moving distance, same phi, we have basically that change ds square is basically s square t r square d theta square, fine. So, ds is basically a r d theta, the change in that the angular separation, fine. So, this d is basically, so d theta is delta theta. So, this is just a at that time. So, here a at t into this r at thing, that is the co-moving distance, which is my this r. Okay. So, these get cancelled. So, this is basically, you know that if I put at naught over here, at naught over here, okay. So, this is my, what is this? At by at naught sum 1 by 1 plus z, because this by this is 1 plus z, fine, but this I put actually 1. So, this actually gives you a 1 by z, fine, 1 by 1 plus z. If you remember, my 1 plus z was a at t naught by a at t. So, I am putting at naught is 1 roughly, means that my thing. So, these actually give you your r by 1 plus z. So, remember my dl was r into 1 plus z, okay. So, this dA and dl roughly they are related. So, one can see that my dl is, if I have r which is dl by 1 plus z. So, this is now so r is dA into 1 plus z. So, this is dA into 1 plus z square, fine. So, r is this, yes. So, this is sometimes called the cosmic duality relation or distance duality, you can call it. So, in principle, if I know dl at that distance, I can also measure the dA, because that is just related by a 1 plus z. Okay. So, that is not important. Important is now I have another distance where I have this is related to r by 1 plus z, and this distance one can measure that if we have a standard ruler in the sky and I can measure what that ruler can make some substance and angle to us, then I can get the distance. Okay. So, some of the standard ruler, one is the cosmic microwave background radiation, because that gives the oscillation. Each oscillation has a wavelength. So, I have a wavelength in the sky, a length scale in the sky, and we can measure that what the length scale actually subtend and angular. So, angular angle to us. You remember Alex was showing the CMB peaks with L was your angular scale that he showed, fine. So, we can, from there I can have this measurement, the angular scale, and the peak, at the peak what is the wavelength of that at the peak of any CMB peak, that gives you D. The baryon acoustic oscillation also he told that it is the same thing, the CMB we see at redshift 1000, but this same oscillation we see in the baryon, there is all these oscillations are there at defined redshift, fine. So, that those gives you a handle to calculate this dA, and again if you have this dA, this is theoretically related to r by 1 plus z, r again related to this, and I can constant define cosmological parameter, fine. Now, the best part is that when you combine dl and dA, if you get the measurement from dl and the measurement from dA, the interesting thing is that these two measurements, let us say I have an equation of state of this dark energy and the omega m, let us say these are two parameters, and if you combine the measurement from dl and the measurement from dA, the interesting thing is that they are actually orthogonal, okay, in the parameter space. And if you have two measurements, they are actually orthogonal, you can get a very tight constant on the parameter space, fine. So, what we have that if I have let's say I have this unknown equation of state, let's say it is not a cosmological constant but some unknown equation of state Wx, and I have here the omega m, that parameter. I do the constant through dl, I do the constant through dA, okay, and we can show that if one constant comes from this is from this, okay, the other constant comes from here. This is from dA and this is from dl, okay. And then when you combine this, I get a very narrow region over here which actually constrain your parameter space. If they are in the same direction, then they not be that useful, okay. But as because their correlations are different for dl and dA, that's because when you put them together, you get a very, very constant regime, okay. And means if you do that, one can see that if you have this is -1, Wx -1, this falls right behind in the region where this is roughly around 0.3 that you can get, okay. So W equal to -1 with 30% matter, and so the rest is with the lambda CDM, which is very consistent with the observation, fine. So these are from the background cosmology. So as I said, three things I mentioned. One is the age, which can constrain the universe, because the H also calculate that needs this H, capital H. Then you can calculate the dl, that also needs this capital H. You calculate dA, that also needs capital H. So all those things you can put together, that and this capital H constrain all your cosmological parameter, whether it's omega m naught, omega lambda naught, W, all those things, whether it's omega k. So this, when you put these all these things, that can give you a very sufficiently strong constant on your model parameter, fine.
Sir, if I try to plot this angular diameter distance for any cosmological model,
Mm-hmm.
generally observe that we get a peak at the around z equal to 1, and then dA start to decrease. So I didn't get the, means mathematically it shows this behavior, means if I assume Hz from omega m 0.3 and 0.7 composition of universe, then and try to plot this dA versus z, then we observe that it reaches at maximum at z equal to 1, and then it start to decrease, mathematical flow.
Okay.
If you go to higher redshifts, angular diameter distance increases for some time and then it starts decreasing with redshift.
No, but that depends upon which cosmology you take. This is not always the case. This may be, because this is a jet function. This is also divided by 1 plus jet. So it is not always that you can have this, you may have a monotonic behavior also, you may not have a monotonic behavior. But that depends, I believe that depends upon what cosmology you can take. Means if you have a only matter dominated cosmology.
But in the case of our present 0.3 and 0.7 and the dark energy, in that case we have this kind
Okay,
of.
that maybe okay. Then,
So,
what is the
I
question?
didn't get the means physical.
No, that you can have, because you see that if you have a matter and a cosmological constant, fine. Let's say you have only matter, okay. So a single fluid in the universe or single component. Then you have a matter, you have always T to the power 2/3, fine. The expansion in the universe never changes. So it always remains T to the power 2/3. So your distance always remains, the distance relation with the redshift will always remain the same. But if you have now two component, let's say matter and cosmological constant, so at some point it is decelerating, and after that at some point it start accelerating. So your expansion rate changes. As your expansion, this H, if you have only matter, fine. Let's say your T, A goes like this, T to the power 2/3. Or if you have only radiation, A goes as just T to the power half. If you have only cosmological constant, this only goes as E to the power T. So this has only one type of behavior, monotonic behavior, fine. There is no change, there is no maximum, minimum, nothing. But as soon as you have different components, like the cosmological constant plus a matter, so the expansion rate changes. So depending upon the changes on expansion rate, obviously your distance get changes, and distance get means the behavior of the distance with respect to z gets changes, because here you don't have now a monotonic behavior. The universe is decelerating at some point, then universe will start accelerating in some point. And most probably, means my guess is that the maximum that occurs, that will happen when from the deceleration to the acceleration things get converted. Okay, so if you go from z to higher z, you will see that it goes to some value higher and then it starts decreasing. It depends upon the rate changing thing will be roughly the ballpark when your acceleration to deceleration starts happening. So whenever you have, if you, not only matter, if you have a matter and radiation, fine, but that is also total deceleration, but still there is a deceleration starts getting changing. So there you also can have some non-monotonous behavior of the any distance measurement. Especially from the matter to cosmological constant it happens because the one cases this is decelerating and after some time it start accelerating. Once you start accelerating your distance getting very higher, fine. So if your d this getting, so if you have this thing, fine, so your measurement, so if you have this thing and this thing is this dA which is around this some distance, this distance, fine. So if you have this thing in your sky and this distance is there, if you are decelerating in your some distance is there, this is changing. Once you start accelerating, the distance suddenly start getting increased, the rate of change of distance suddenly get increased a lot. So that gives you that the change in behavior actually. Okay. So if you have only monotonic behavior, like only you put Hz is omega m naught 1 plus z cube, fine, square root of that. You get only one behavior that you can see from here, fine. You must multiply by that, that is the only 1 plus 1 z behavior, fine. But whenever you have a change in behavior of expansion, you start getting something different, okay. Okay, so this actually gives you a basic, most of the thing that we can actually can learn from the background cosmology, okay. We will see that when you do the density perturbation, then also at some limit, in fact in the most of the cases, this thing will only depend upon this H. Okay, so there will be a different equation, but that thing will also depend upon only this H, and this H contains different parameter, fine. So that also give you a sort of a defined constant, a defined correlation between these two parameters. So only the way to getting very strong constant is that to look for observation which can give you different correlation between these, so that I can combine this thing to get a very strong, I mean small regime, okay. So before going to the density perturbation, I just, because that is not related to this mostly this course, but just to tell you two things. Which are called the horizons, okay. Which are called the horizons, fine. So if I there are two horizons in our expanding universe. One is in your past light cone and another is in your future light cone, okay. The past light cone horizon is that let us say today I am here, I know that I can receive a light from which has been emitted at some time in the past, fine. Obviously because light takes some time to travel, so in the some point in the past some light is emitted and then I am receiving that light, fine. The maximum distance or time scale I can go is up to t equal to 0, fine, because that time from there my clock starts, so my time start. So I can receive light from t equal to 0, let us say t equal to today at t equal to some value, okay, t equal to t naught, the age of the universe, fine. Now we have to know that at t equal to 0, is there from anywhere I can get the light, or there is a regime from which only I can get the light today at t equal to 0, means from there to till today. Whether that regime is infinite from where I can get the light from t equal to 0 to t equal to e or t equal to t naught, or there is a finite regime or finite regime region in the sky from where I can get the light, okay. So at any point, forget about t equal to 0, if you go to any time in the past, we can actually calculate what is the distance, or if there is a finite distance from where I can get the light today, or I can get a light from any infinite distance, fine. So what you do, I just calculate this thing, same thing, I just do it from 0 to t naught, fine. So that is my co-moving distance, and then I can just multiply the scale factor. So I just want to calculate what is the distance that we have from t equal to 0 to t equal to t naught, fine. And if that thing is infinite, then I can have an infinite place from where I can receive light, fine. And if that is finite, then I can only have a finite region from where I can get the light, okay. So let's say I do the calculation. So for defined, so let's say I have in standard deceleration inverse, so if you have a only matter dominated or radiation dominated, we can have these two, okay. Because as I said that before 1998 we don't have any idea that universe is accelerating. So the things that we have mostly is the matter dominated and radiation dominated, and there is a small sort of a small region of very early time that we may have inflation, but that inflation can be actually motivated from here. So let's say we have only matter dominated or radiation dominated, fine, and we know that for that case A goes as T to the power alpha, where alpha is either half for radiation or alpha is either 2/3 for matter, fine. So alpha is smaller than 1, fine. Yes, so this is always decelerated expansion, fine. So if I do the calculation, so if I just put it over here, so you have T to the power minus alpha dt from 0 to some T naught. Okay, so what I have over here, so this is 1 by 1 minus alpha T to the power 1 minus alpha, this is 0, this is T naught, okay, this integration I am doing, and as because alpha is smaller than 1, okay, so this is always positive, so this will give you a finite value, fine. At t equal to 0 this will be 0, at t equal to T naught this is 1 by 1 minus alpha T naught 1 minus alpha. Fine. So this is a finite value, finite number, fine. But if somehow I have a universe where alpha is greater than 1, alpha greater than 1 means that universe is accelerating, because alpha smaller than 1 means universe is decelerating, and alpha greater than 1 is universe is accelerating. Then if alpha, so this is finite for alpha less than 1, but if you have a alpha greater than 1, then you can see this is negative. So this is 1 by t, so at t equal to 0 this blows up, so this becomes infinity, fine. So the region that we have in our disposal from where I can get light signal, for alpha less than 1 this region is finite, for alpha greater than 1 this region is infinite, fine. So for this case I have a finite region from where I can receive signal, okay, from the past, and from this case I have an infinite region from there I can get. So here I have, in that case sense I have a horizon, because I have a finite place from where only I can get the signal from the past, fine. So this for, so what I get from here, that for decelerating universe we have a horizon in the past, but for accelerating universe we don't, okay. So this is sometimes called the particle horizon. So this is the horizon is in your past light cone. So from past, what is the region from which I can get the light, whether the region is infinite or region is finite. Now there can be an future horizon in your future light cone. Like I am here today, some light is receiving now at some point in the sky today, and I wait here till infinity whether I get that light, okay. So whether there is a finite regime from where I can get the light which has been emitted today, or there is an infinite regime in the sky from where I can get the light that is emitted today in future. So that is the horizon in your future light cone, okay. So this is the horizon that is your past light cone, that today I am receiving light from a finite place, and another is that today some light is emitted from somewhere, whether that region is finite or infinite, where from I can receive the light in the future infinity, fine. So that is called the future horizon. So that is the same, but that we have to do the integration, just the change that we are, it is emitted from T naught, and this is goes up to infinity. Fine. So that is sometimes called the event horizon. So this is the horizon in your future light cone. Fine. Again from here now you can see that if I do this integration, okay. Now if alpha is less than 1, then this is t to the power positive number. At infinity this becomes infinity. Fine. So this becomes infinite for alpha less than 1. But if alpha is greater than 1, this is negative 1 by t something. At infinity that portion goes to 0, so I get a finite value. Fine. So this is finite for alpha greater than 1. So this is opposite to there. Here if the universe is accelerating, there is a horizon, and if universe is decelerating, there is no horizon. Fine. So this is in your future light cone. So this is past light cone. And then I have future light cone. So where acceleration gives you a horizon and deceleration, there is no horizon. Fine. Obviously for our observational purpose this does not matter because we cannot see in our future. Okay. Only thing is that it is just a model, I mean it is a theoretically a model thing, I mean the model kind of what kind of model you have. As you know that if our universe is today accelerating, started accelerated, then obviously that universe should have a horizon in the future. Okay. But if the universe is not accelerating today, it will not horizon. But this is very important because this gives you a finite regime in the region in the past from where only I can get the light. Okay. So this is extremely important for observational cosmology or what you observe. This is not so, this is just a theory that whatever model you have, I can predict whether that model can have a horizon in the past, in the future or not. Fine. Observationally, this horizon is not important at all because we cannot observe my future. Fine. Now, how this horizon actually affect our observation? Fine. Now, as we means Alex was discussing that we have this CMB measurement, okay, which gives you a very, very uniform temperature distribution which is around 2.7 degree Kelvin with a very perfect black body distribution, and this temperature distribution is very, very uniform. Fine. So let us say we have over here, this is my today, okay, and this, as we know that the CMB is coming from what is called the last scattering surface. So when the neutral hydrogen form and the photons have no longer any scattering to the ionized universe or the electrons. Okay. So after that the photon comes just without any problem to us, and whatever the signature in the photon we have, we get that at T naught, and that photon now due to the expansion of the universe, the temperature decreases, and now we have a thermalized radiation over here 2.7 Kelvin. Fine. So let us say this is my T decoupling, and let us say this is my T equal to 0, that is my past beginning. Fine. So I receive photon. So if I am here, I draw my light cone, okay. So I receive photon from all these places from the past, fine, at T equal to decoupling, fine, and I see these photons are very, very uniform temperature. So things get uniform temperature means at some point they talk to each other, exchange heat, and then become thermalized and get a uniform temperature. So if I see regimes in the sky which are uniform in temperature, so that regime or that region in the space or in the sky should have in causal connection with each other, because that make them to talk to each other and becomes a uniform temperature distribution. So this total region should be in causal connection in the T decoupling. Fine. Now from here, let us say this point, I draw a light cone. From here also I can draw a light cone. Okay. Now if I draw a light cone from here, if these two light cone never matches t equal to 0, then these 2 points cannot be in causal connection from t equal to 0 to t equal to decoupling. But because that is the time it has for them to get the causal connection. Fine, t equal to 0 start and up to t equal to decoupling this time, fine. So within this time, if their horizon means if their light cone never matches, they never no cross section, so they cannot have any crosstalk to each other, they are not causally connected. So let's calculate that what is the light cone or what is the distance that we have from here to here, so this distance, and what is this distance, fine. If they are equal or if this is greater than this, then these 2 points are actually in causal connection. If this is smaller than this, then they cannot be, fine. So let's calculate that. So what is the comoving size from here to here? It I have to calculate, fine. So that will be, I have to integrate this from t decoupling to t naught. So that is the comoving size from where we receive the light, okay. And then the physical size is that I have to multiply. So the physical size, R physical, will be I have to multiply this by the decoupling, means the scale factor at this, which is A decoupling. So then I do it this, fine. So I have to do, so this is the physical size from where I can get photon from T decoupling, fine. Now we know that we have initially you have a radiation dominated, then you have a matter dominated, and then you have a dark energy dominated. For the timing, just forget about this dark energy dominated, a very late time, okay. We have calculated a matter radiation equality, fine. So the matter radiation equality, if you remember, this was 1 Z equal was rho m naught by rho 1 naught. If you remember, if I divided both by the rho c naught, the critical energy density, both numerator and denominator, so I get over here omega m naught by omega r naught, okay. Omega m naught we know that is roughly around 0.3, and if you calculate the omega r naught, because omega r naught mostly is coming from the photon distribution, which is a 2.7 black body, 2.7 Kelvin black body distribution. So put the Stefan's law, sigma E goes to sigma T to the power 4, I can calculate the energy. So this actually becomes roughly of the order of 10 to the power minus 5. So this is roughly 10 to the power 4 of the order, fine. So the Z equality is roughly 10,000. So from where matter radiation equality, and after that your matter starts dominating, fine. And if you calculate the T decoupling, this is roughly Z decoupling is roughly 1000, okay. So this region I can actually take it as a matter domination, because here your matter radiation equality occur over here, it's bit earlier, fine. So this I can take as a matter domination, and this I can take as a, this region I can take as a roughly as a radiation dominated, fine. So I can put your matter dominated over here, because I know AT is T to the power 2/3, okay. AT in the matter domination goes at T to the power 2/3. This I can put, if I do this thing, a little bit small calculation, just do it, fine. What you get over here, this number is roughly, because T naught is around 10 billion years, T decoupling is roughly 400,000, so it is very smaller than this. I can ignore the contribution coming from here. So it's a ballpark calculation. So if you do this thing, it comes out to be around 3 T decoupling square into T naught. Okay, I'll just put it like that. So this comes out to be 3 into T decoupling square into T naught to the power 1/3. Okay, so this R physical size from where I can receive photons at present is roughly this value, okay. Similarly, I can do the thing that I have over here T naught. What is the future light cone from here to here? Okay, so this is the backward light cone from here to here. What is the future light cone that I have from going from here to here? So this if I called LB backward, so my LB forward will be do the same integration, but now I have from T equal to 0 to t equal to t decoupling, again this integration dt by at, and a decoupling I have to multiply here, and as I said this is roughly radiation dominated, so this at will be roughly t to the power half. I do the integration, sorry, this is t equal to 0. So I do this integration, I can ignore the contribution coming from here, this is 400,000, this is roughly 0. So what I get here is this number will come out to be roughly 2 into t decoupling. Okay. So this is the, from here to here, the forward light cone that I have in my hand. This is here that if I have a uniform temperature distribution here, what is the light cone that I need from where light should come and things will be uniform, fine. To get that things is uniform, this should be greater than this, fine.
Sir, we need the scale factor at t equal to 0.
No, I am calculating it here, no. I am calculating what is the size that I go from here to here. Okay. So if I calculate now LB by LF, this comes out to be 3 by 2 T, this number is T0 by T decoupling to the power 1/3, and if I put T naught is roughly around 10 billion years, T decoupling is around 400,000 years, so these numbers will be roughly around 70.
So here you are counting A decoupling from Z decoupling equal to 1000, no?
No, I am not counting. I am just calculating the co-moving distance here from going from here to here.
No, that's right, in this formula I am asking, R physical. A decoupling.
A decoupling I multiply because I calculate the co-moving distance, then I multiply by the scale factor, that gives you the physical distance. So what you can see that the backward light cone that I have to make things uniform is 70 times larger than the forward light cone that is available to us. Fine.
But here you also multiplied the AD probably, right?
Because here also I calculate the co-moving distance, and then the physical distance here that we have is that you have to multiply with the scale factor here.
Here you are getting the values at the decoupling.
Yes. So this is the value that from here how far the light travels, the co-moving distance. And here I am taking that from here what is the backward light cone, what is the distance. One is in the backward light cone from T0 to T decoupling, another is the forward light cone that you have from T0 to T decoupling. Okay. So the backward light cone is greater than the forward light cone by 70. Okay, 70 times greater. So that means
When we say co-moving distance, we mean the distance along the line of sight.
the coordinates distance. Yeah, this I am taking theta phi equal to 0.
Size.
Huh?
But here we are talking about the size of the light cone.
Yeah, so that is the thing, fine. So you can take it as, I have not shown it, but you can, so what is this? So it is basically you are here, fine. So this is the size that you have getting, fine, in your radial DC. So that is the size from where you can get it. Similarly, if I am here and then light is going, then I again in the future I get a ring. So that ring will here. So this is both at T equal to T decoupling. So this is the backward light cone that I need, and this is the forward light cone that I have. If the universe is always a deceleration, means either radiation or matter, fine. So this is 70 times. So I don't expect the CMB to be really uniform. Okay. Now what I can do is that I can change this T naught. I can put this T naught to minus infinity here. I can take it as below as that. If I take it as below is that, then these I can extend because I have lot of time that is available here. I can extend it and then I can get always a regime where this can get intersected. So what I need is that very early time in the universe, around this time, I need, so a universe where A equal to 0 is not at T equal to 0, but A equal to 0 as T equal to minus infinity. And what is that? That is A going as if e to the power T. some exponential expansion. Fine. That makes this goes to the, because my starting point is at when the scale factor is 0. In the decelerating universe, the scale factor is always 0 at a equal to 0 is t equal to 0. So, I have this amount of time available, but if I can make it to t equal to minus infinity, I can make it as big as possible. Okay. And that can solve you this problem that I have, which we call the horizon problem. Okay. So, that motivates that we need a very fast rapid expansion very close to.
I'm not clear on what is T decoupling. Is it from Big Bang to?
No, T decoupling from where the CMB photons is coming to it. Before that, the CMB photons are coupled with the electrons with the Thomson scattering, so they cannot come. So, this is what is called the last scattering surface or the decoupling surface.
So the time interval from the last scattering surface to till now.
So, no, T decoupling is the T decoupling. So, the time at decoupling. This is time at present and this is time at the when A is 0. So, the very beginning time. So, this is you can call T decoupling, you can call Z decoupling or whatever.
From Big Bang till now.
So, yeah, from here to here, that's Big Bang to that thing, yes. Okay. So, that we don't have time because we have to do the density perturbation, but inflation, so what we need is basically a rapid accelerated expansion A roughly e to the power t, and that can solve your this horizon problem, this problem that we have. Okay. So, how we can get exponential t? So, as I said, matter radiation never can get. We for exponential expansion we need something negative pressure, that we already studied. For A double dot should be greater than, then rho plus Cp has to be negative. It can be a cosmological constant. Cosmological constant has a problem because if you have a cosmological constant, it cannot end the inflation, because ultimately we need matter domination or radiation dominator, that is there. So, we have to have a not only exponential expansion, we need to stop the exponential expansion and it should go to the deceleration expansion, because your Big Bang nucleosynthesis is you needed, your structure formation is needed. So, if the universe is always accelerated expansion, nothing will happen, fine. So, we not only need a very rapid period of accelerated expansion, but this period has to be small enough, because after that we need all the deceleration universe, fine. So, for a cosmological constant we cannot end the expansion, this accelerated expansion. So, that after that people started using what is called the scalar fields, different scalar fields, and one can show with some particular form of potential, they can give an accelerated expansion, and you can also end the inflation also with some choice of the potential. The great part is that if you take this scalar field which gives you the inflation, and if the scalar field in the early time has some small quantum fluctuation in it, one can show those quantum fluctuation can be seed of the primordial fluctuation that can later grow with the gravitational instability to form all the structures. Okay. So, the inflation not only solves this kind of problem, horizon problem, but it can also provide you a seed of fluctuation, because we can, if we have a seed, we can put a general relativity theory to make them grow from the structure. What we need is a seed, and the inflation actually provide that seed of primordial fluctuation. Okay. And that is why till now this is only one paradigm which is very consistent with the observation. It is not a theory, because still means it is not a theory, or means because it is not till tested like this is the model. You can come tomorrow, if you can come with a model that can put all those things, you can also have a consistent theory rather than inflation, fine. Till now inflation, whatever the prediction it has given is mostly has been observed. The only prediction that is there, which is the gravitational wave generation in the inflation, that primordial gravitational wave is still now detected. So, if it is detected, then one can actually confirm that okay, the inflation has happened. Okay. So, we will not go to the inflation, but what we will assume that the inflation will give you a primordial fluctuation, which is a power law that we will assume, and given that initial fluctuation, we try to see that how with the gravity, with the attractive nature of gravity, things can grow, and when again the universe become accelerated like a late time acceleration, how this growth of structure can be halted and that can put a signature on your means all these galaxy surveys and all those things. Fine. So, I stop here.